Randy, it's July 12th.
Wow, we're almost halfway through the month already. How did that happen?
Lordy, man. I can't keep this pace up. This year is going by faster than, Jell-O through a strainer.
Jell-O through, that's a good one. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And I remember as a kid, my parents and others of that generation above me talk about how time seems to go by a lot quicker the older we get, and birthdays come quicker, and time flies. And I thought as a kid, I can't wait till I'm old enough to drive. I can't wait till I'm old enough to be on my own and all of this stuff. And now that I'm them, I look back and I go, wow, where did time go? Yeah. I mean, it just flies by. Hey, you know what, Teddy? We had a great show last week, but before we get into that, let's do a brief introduction. So there may be one or two people out there who don't know who you are and maybe don't know who I am. So let's do a quick introduction. I'm Randy Wooden. I work with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina and run our professional center. So if you might be watching or someone who is a professional that might be in a job search, our services are free and we're happy to help, whether it's with resumes, job leads, brainstorming, network, you name it. And so we're happy to try to help. Just reach out to me and we'll get you on the calendar. No problems with that. And that's regardless of where you might be watching us from. So they don't have to be here in the Winston area, but here again, we're here and we're here to help. So that's me in a nutshell. And Teddy, let's learn a little more about you.
Yeah. Other than my camera's not focusing right. And you and I talked about this.
And time has flown by so quickly that your eyesight is just shot like that overnight. So
you and I talked about this. Do you think it's in the budget for me to replace this camera?
Yeah, I think we're working on that. Yeah, I think we've got it in the budget. So yeah, I'd say go for it.
Good.
I'm with you.
So, hey, for those who have never met me, I'm Terri Burriss. I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. I'm all about helping people master using LinkedIn as a business tool. Our business focuses on corporate training, one-on-one coaching. We have private mastermind groups. We have monthly webinars all around how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. And Randy and I got together in June of 2020 and said, let's get together and put together a show where we're helping people in career transition. And so we decided on Mondays we would drop in and drop some tips and drop a story and tell you about our Wednesday special guests. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday as well, even though just in total transparency, I won't be there.
But you will be out there, and we better be on our toes because, the boss man's coming back to town. But Leslie Spees will be our co-host, and we'll talk a little bit about our guest and the topic. I'm excited about it because I think it's something that needs attention, and we want to draw attention to what we'll call internships, and we'll get into a little bit more of that. But I do have a kind of a story to share. Sid Davis, comedian, was on this past week's show, and we talked a little bit about humor and not just what life is like as a comic and how to break into the business and all, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yet from our perspective as trying to help job hunters and professional development and how can we do a better job on our job, it was interesting to hear him talk about it and how to tie in humor with interviews and how to build relationships and build rapport and help break down barriers by using humor in a good and effective way. And it is a small world because after he and I and the three of us got done, of course, I share the YouTube video of our show. And I happen to know a couple of stand-up comedians. One, a fellow named Greg, who I used to work with in radio back in Ohio many, many years ago. And another one named Michael, who is still in Ohio. But anyway, so Greg happened to see that he was tagged, and he replied, he said, he says, I love Sid Davis. He said, I did a couple of shows with him. So it's a small world, and it was just kind of cool. Who would have thought that those two may have met, but they have, and had good impressions of each other. So, and again, it's a small world, so be careful what you say and what you do, because you never know who knows whom and where word gets around quickly. It could be to your benefit, or maybe not. And I think we've all known folks that have had that happen. So be on your toes. That's my story, Teddy, and I'm sticking to it.
I remember years ago going, do you know my daddy? Because I would say if that guy knows my daddy, or that guy's daddy knows my daddy, I better make sure I straighten up and fly right. So,
Yeah.
a little bit bigger than that nowadays. So hey, here's my story. And it's somewhat in context of learning. And years ago, back in 19 never you mind, I had a job. And I used to pick up trash in the morning. I actually drove a trash truck and carried a big old trash barrel. And I'd have to walk into people's backyards and get the trash. Because that was back in the days when they did that. Nowadays, if your trash barrel ain't out on the street, it ain't getting picked up. But I used to walk around the neighborhood and pick up trash and drive a trash truck in the mornings. In the afternoons, now I never realized the symbolism of this, Randy, until years later. In the afternoons, I delivered caskets to funeral homes.
Really?
Yep. So I'd go into a funeral home. Now I had to change my clothes when I delivered the caskets. I couldn't wear my trash truck clothing. And, and so I had to go to funeral homes, and you had to act a little different in a funeral home than you did when you're hanging on the back of a trash truck.
Maybe a little, huh? Yeah.
Just a little bit. Wow. And what I realized is that, whether or not you're picking up trash or delivering caskets, you're serving an audience. You're serving somebody in an important way to them. And so you need to do it appropriately, and you need to do it based on the context of your role. Now, even when I was picking up trash, if I dumped someone's trash can in my big old barrel that I took to the trash truck and I spilled something on the ground, you better pick it up, because you don't leave trash on someone's ground. And when you deliver a casket, you don't go busting in, driving like a wild man. You show a little reverence, and you push that casket in on the cart politely. You're serving people, no matter if you're picking up trash, delivering caskets, or doing anything else. You're serving people, and you should serve them in the right way based on your job. And that was really, I never really figured all that out until years later. And now I get it. And I think I'm grateful that I got to pick up trash and deliver caskets, because I learned a lot. Yeah.
Life's a journey and full of many chapters. And I think, again, thanks for sharing that. I think we all have had some experiences, good and bad, that help shape how we are today. Hopefully we learn from all of that and continue to grow. Hey, we've got a great show lined up for Wednesday. We're having two guests come in. We'll have Terri Cummings with Greater Winston-Salem, and also Danielle Rose with Forsyth Tech. And they're here to talk about internships, learning and earning, a win-win. And you think back to when you were a kid, let's say a young adult, young man. Let's go with that. I remember my dad. Long story short, after he retired, I was sitting with him in his living room. Well, my mom and dad's living room. And he said to me, he said, Randy, he said, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
He fell into, in a good way, he just happened to fall into a job. And like so many of that generation, he stayed there. And now he took a transfer or two and moved up within the organization. He didn't have a degree, so there was a cap there in terms of his growth. But the point was that he really never took control. He was paid reasonably well. He had job security. And so he rode that out. And not that that's a bad thing, but the fact that he lamented the fact that he didn't know what he wanted to do. He never really experimented, let's say, with what might be out there. And so I think internships play a huge role on two sides. One, as the young person saying, okay, is this something that I would like to do? Do I have the aptitude for it? So, kind of try it before you buy it, if you will, before you sink a bunch of money into college or a bunch of money into trade school or whatever. And on the flip side, if I'm an employer, this is a great way to, again, kind of try it before you buy it and bring in people. You can see their work ethic, their aptitude, their ability to learn, to work with others of perhaps other generations and backgrounds. And so internships are I think, a key part of professional development. Beyond what I'll call formal schooling, I want to see on the job, can this person step in and get this thing done? Are they teachable?
Yeah.
You know it, and so we're talking some detail. This is going to be valuable for parents who have young people coming up. It could also be for people who are established and maybe want to go in a different direction, but this allows them to get a toe in the water before they go in and invest a bunch of time and money, but also from an employer standpoint to understand what do internships involve, how do we get those set up. So we've got Terri, and also we have Danielle to talk about that in some detail, trying to give folks a better understanding of what that game plan looks like.
Yeah. And your sub co-host for me is Leslie Spees.
Yes, of The Resource, and she was a sub for me. So if she does well this time, that's 2 times in a row. So
is that an internship?
I think it is. Was there money in the budget to pay the intern?
Oh, let's not talk about that, Randy. We can't talk about that.
We won't go there.
So, good stuff. All right, man. Good stuff. So yeah, I look forward. I'll have to catch it when I get back in town and watch it on YouTube or LinkedIn or listen to the podcast, because now we're on 7 podcasts, buddy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you want to do the tip first? You want me to do it, or how do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, I'll do my tip first.
Okay.
So in the context of learning and internship and keep going, and Randy, you do your tip first, because if I remember what your tip is, mine plays off of yours, buddy.
Okay. My tip is something that, we read about a lot, and certainly Goodwill promotes this, and that is to be a lifelong learner. Yeah. It's easy to reach a certain level, whether it's high school, I'm out, boy, I don't want to take any more tests, or college, done with that. And part of the problem with that, especially from a technology standpoint, is you think back to when you and I were of internship age.
What, we're not now?
We won't go there in terms of the year, but just think back to Rolodex, look at your typewriter behind you, the phone, and all that. And if you haven't kept up with technology, certainly at least to be able to do your job and to do it well, you're becoming a dinosaur. And that lifelong learning is critical to staying relevant. And when you're in an interview, of course, you need to be able to talk about that. And what have you done to remain relevant? So lifelong learning is key. I don't care what industry you're in. Just make sure that that isn't a reason for people to not hire you. Yeah. So here, let me expand that a little more.
Yep. It's not hard to be a lifelong learner. I mean, it's really easy. There are lots of ways for us to keep learning and learn all kinds of different topics and ideas and perspectives and philosophies and skills. And it's just as easy as all you got to have is a smartphone. Almost all you got to have is a smartphone. Randy, do you have a smartphone?
You know what? I do. And I'm so dumb that when Goodwill hired me, I had 2 smartphones because I needed them. Yeah. Actually, no, I had my own smartphone, and then they gave me a company phone. But it was funny because I'd walk around and I'd set both of the phones down, and I'd say, I need a lot of help. I need so much help. I have 2 smartphones. So, but I've graduated to just one now, so I feel good about that.
Well, I'm grateful that the company gave me a new phone, and I'm getting really good at this one.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So, but my point is, it's not hard to learn. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of places online that you can go learn. Udemy, Skillshare, TabletWise, Teachable. Then there's LearnDesk, and there is Learn Formula, and there's Allison, and there's One Education. These are just names that I know about. This LinkedIn Learning. So if you're paying for any premium level of LinkedIn Learning, you're free. And based on what my buddy has taught me, which I forgot all about, often if you have a library card, Randy, you got a library card, right?
I have one.
Me
to
too.
Blow the dust off it, but I have one, and you can access. A lot of libraries have that LinkedIn Learning for free for library members. So
and that's on my note here somewhere. My note is what North Carolina counties have LinkedIn Learning at their libraries. That's my note for me to check on. There's no excuse, Teddy, not to keep learning, because there's so much content out there that you can consume and keep growing and keep learning that we should keep doing it. So that's my story, Randy. So
good stuff. And that lifelong learning is key, and whether that's technology or just, for example, I put an app on my phone to help me learn at least some basic Spanish, because again, more and more folks in the workplace are bilingual. And for us to, meaning goodwill, to be able to service them well, I think we need to have at least a basic understanding beyond speaking English. And so those are some things that nobody's holding a gun to my head to say you've got to do it, but just out of curiosity, just something that, you kind of want to pick up. So all good stuff. Terri, thanks again for being a part of something we started back almost a year and a half ago. It seems like yesterday, but we're still kicking. So enjoying
when I get back in town, you and I get together because somebody needs to buy somebody a burger.
I hear you.
So,
I'm in a big burger like this.
Yeah. All right, buddy. You have a good week. You guys have a great week. We'll see everybody on Wednesday. Take care.